Edith Baker, okay. NYC school teacher.
I move the board hire Edith Baker as a non-continuing teacher for the remainder of the 2013-14 school year.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. No discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Accept resignation. Bruce Williams.
I move the board accept the resignation of Bruce Williams.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion. This starts in.
Yeah, it's after the school year is over.
Discussion from the board? No discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. D, accept resignation from Elaine Williams.
I move the board accept the resignation of Eileen Williams.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Accept resignation, Lori Green.
I move the board accept the resignation of Lori Green.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion? No discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Approve unpaid leave request, Barb Swanson.
I move the board approve the unpaid leave request of Barb.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Okay, item 6, public comment. And it's Jimmy, title, Chinese Immersion. You have the floor.
Thank you. I'm speaking on behalf of the Executive Committee of Grace River Grange number 124 and reading a letter from our lecturer, Robert M. Pyle. Dear board members, at our regular meeting tonight, that's last Tuesday, members of Grace River Grange number 124 discussed the K-5 Mandarin Chinese Immersion program implemented in kindergarten and first grade last fall. This is to inform you that following a full and extended debate, our membership voted in favor of expressing our support for continuation of the Mandarin Immersion program. Several members spoke from experience of the great employment and cultural advantages their children had gained from being bilingual in important modern languages. The fact that our school district has adopted and initiated this program is a matter of pride and excitement to many in our community. We feel that to abort Mandarin immersion now would be a great disservice to the citizens of this district, to the parents who have supported their children in this educational adventure, and most especially to the students themselves, both the ones who are currently enrolled in Chinese and the ones who will follow. For their better futures, we believe this program should go on. We ask you to carefully consider your responsibility to children who have already invested their hard work, dedication, and hopes in an innovative endeavor to join the wider world. Please vote to continue this important, cost-effective, and highly successful young program. Thank you for considering our remarks. Sincerely, on behalf of the members, Robert M. Pyle, lecturer, member of the Executive Committee, and Master Pro Tem, Grace River Grange, number 124. And I would also like to speak personally as one of the members who voted in favor of the motion, and as somebody who has worked for 6 years as an English teacher in China. The English program in China, while not often an immersion program, is nonetheless a very serious program, and Chinese schools take English education very seriously. The reason that they do this is because they realize that for their students to succeed abroad and as members of the global community, it is absolutely necessary that they be bilingual, not just in English, but also in other languages, which they also study independently. This is a unique opportunity for the students in this school to be on par with some of the top programs in some of the top international schools in other countries. A K-5 immersion program would only be seen in a top international school in China. I was very surprised to find that such a program was being offered here, and I fully support it. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so we're going to move to item 7, unfinished business. A is Miranda's immersion program.
I move the board approve the continuation of the Mandarin immersion program for the 2014-15 school year and allow a maximum district expenditure of up to $25,000 for the program for the 14-15 school year. Furthermore, I move the board set a deadline of April 15, 2015 to assess what funds are available for the continuation of the program into the 15-16 school year.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion.
I would just like to add one thing that I didn't hear during any of the comments was there's a great benefit not only to the children taking immersion class, but the reduced class size for the non-immersion students. It's I haven't heard that pointed out.
Very good point.
Anything else from the board? Okay, there's no further discussion. Do you want a roll call vote, or do you want just a general vote? What's your preference? General vote?
Roll call's fine with me.
All right, there'll be a roll call vote. Steve?
Aye.
Josh? Chuck?
Aye.
Buddy?
Aye.
I vote aye. 5-0, motion carries.
I would like to make a comment, very brief comment.
Okay.
I think we all need to thank Rob Dalton for the advice and recommendation he gave the board at that March 3rd meeting. He provided a path that gave the superintendent that win-win opportunity, and it really is the only win-win opportunity that we have. And I just think Rob, he was awesome, and he came and spoke, talked about his own personal experiences, and gave us that option to get to this point. And I'm hoping we can now move forward to educate all the kids. And I would like all of you to know that I am available to listen to anyone about their concerns about this school. Thank you.
I would also like to add that I really appreciate all of your passion. I mean, it's been kind of an amazing outpouring of passion from the people that really back this, and it's very evident. We knew this was a good program, and the reason that the board looked at it because we wanted it to, if it's such a great program, was to make sure that we lay the groundwork so that it can actually last through the years, and that we don't end up, 5-6 years from now thinking, oh my gosh, we didn't think of that. So if we had this much passion for many other, whether it's academics or anything else, it would be really appreciated. I mean, this is typically we don't get this kind of passion unless it's a lot of times in a negative way. And so this has been rather refreshing, actually. We just appreciate everybody's input. I talked to several people over the last week, and I'm just convinced that it's the right thing to do. Really appreciate everybody's input.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Can I make a comment regarding that also?
Absolutely.
I would like to thank those people who expressed an interest in helping out with finding the financial resources to make this program last into the future. That really made an impact on every person. I really appreciated that. Thank you.
Okay, if there's nothing else on Chinese immersion, new business. A, approved overnight travel, spring sports, and knowledge bowl.
I move the board approve overnight travel for spring sports and knowledge bowl.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion? Where is knowledge bowl?
It is Marysville and it's Saturday.
This next Saturday. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Approved CBA interdistrict cooperative agreement and board resolution 131402.
I move the board approve the inter-district cooperative agreement and resolution number 131402 for the CDA program.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion. No discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Approved contract with ESD 113 for driver's ed program.
I move the board approve the contract with ESD 113 for driver's ed program at ACL.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion.
How many students do we have coming into the
We'll
program?
have to have 10 to run the program. And I know last year, we were trying to get this going since last July. We had 15 signed up then, but we'll have a new sign-up period. So we don't think that will be a problem. The other options, you have to go to the beach or Wonky. So, and if we can't get enough here, then we'll probably canvas or search, I guess, for lack of a better word, a little bit so that we can get that far.
I think it was interesting because I was in, where was I this weekend? Somewhere around Scout, right? You never really tell exactly what town you're in up there, right? Everyone together, but to my wife's family St. Patrick party, and one of my nieces is taking driver ed up there, and she's paying just a little bit less than $500, $495. I believe ours is going to be.
$365, and then there's a $35 test fee.
So, and I don't know what the test fees are, but anyway, just to kind of keep that in perspective, I suppose. But that's in a big city too, where they have tons of kids. You would almost think that would bring the price down, but obviously that's not the case, I suppose. Okay, further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. All right, item D, 8D, first reading board policy.
And I hope you can read the fine print. I can't. They're just, they are first reading. We really want to know, well, they're on the agenda. Want to look them up. We don't take action on the first read. They're for information to put them out there. But I do want to refer to one, which is 2336. It's required observances. And you will see there's a policy there, but I have some information on that back a couple slides. There's been a new RCW passed that requires schools to do celebration of citizens with disabilities, I should say celebration and or recognition in the month of October. And come to find out that I don't know that any school even knew about that. Maybe somebody did, but was a kind of a to-do about that, which I will talk about a little later. But there's a policy drafted that will might be approved next month about that. There's something new every day. So, 7 or so policies up for next month. That's it, just for information, we'll talk about it next month.
So this is just the first reading?
First reading.
Okay. All right, so item 9, business office report.
All right, so ended February, ended with a cash balance of just under $580,000. Everything's pretty much standard at this point, projecting an ending balance in August of just north of $700,000. Next month, we'll dip a little bit because we have some increased AP, specifically with CBA, but then it should start kicking up. Enrollment is pretty much, staying pretty balanced. It is dropping a little bit because we're already starting to see CBA kids finishing up for the year, and then they'll exit out as they finish. That's pretty much the financial report. The legislature did end on late last week, and not a whole lot of surprises. We will end up with about a $50 per student increase for materials and supplies. That's pretty much the limit of any additions that they did. They're delaying a lot of the actions related to McCleary until next year, which is the long session. And so that will be an interesting session. The only other interesting thing coming out of this session is they did delay the requirement for extended hours. I believe it was NA, they delayed that, and they're shifting that money to implement the 24-hour credit diploma, which includes kind of a bunch of little smaller details that we'll see. Some increased supplies in the high school and things like that. But other than that, the legislature they didn't do a whole lot. So next session will be the exciting one. That's what I have. Oh, one last thing, the state auditor is here. I believe she's going to be here through next Tuesday. And so she's been here pretty much every day, looking at whatever she wants to look at. So she's in there doing that, and that's been good. So that's what I have for this office. Thank you. All right. So I printed out a color version for each of you. I don't know if you got a color version of this. You did. Well, here's another one. And I'm not going to go through every page of this because you probably already looked at it. But I did pull a few slides that I wanted to just point out that Lisa has up there. And what this is this is a report of the grades for 9th through 12 for first semester. So what I did is I went in and I pulled all of the grade data for every class that we offer here at Kinsale High School, and I looked at some trends. And this first slide here, I just wanted to give a kind of an overview.
You don't want my PowerPoint part, right?
What?
You want to talk about these or the PowerPoint?
That's right here, yeah.
Okay. My link broke.
Oh,
Not there. So,
the first slide was there. Can you go back to it? There was a graph.
this part.
Yeah, right there.
Okay.
Okay, so I just want to give you an overview. So of all the classes in Kinsale High School, and you can see on the last page of the handout all of the classes that we offer. This is the grade distribution. So I included minus grades and plus grades with the letter grades. So for example, with B, there was almost 200 B's earned. That includes B minuses and B pluses. Same thing could be said for C's, D's, and A minuses. So you can see the majority of the grades, there's a lot of A's. And I think that's a good graph to see there. There's not a whole lot of F's. And as you get higher, there's more and more of each grade. So that's kind of a snapshot of the entire distribution for first semester. Want to go to the next slide there? Now the interesting thing is I broke it down by gender because I was curious to see how boys and girls differed in the grades that they earned per semester. So before I show you that, I wanted to just give you a breakdown. As of the end of first semester, this is how many boys and girls we had grades 9 through 12. So 39 boys, grades 9 through 12. When I saw that, and I knew it was small, but that's a small number. And 55 girls. I just wanted to show you that. Okay, next slide. And so here's a grade distribution by gender. And I thought this was interesting because if you look at the female grades, and you look over there at the far left, there's the A column. And just over 70% of all of the A's that were earned by females. And under 30% of all of the A's earned, obviously, were earned by males. And as you move down towards lower grades, you can see that the females earn less of poorer grades, and males earn more of the poorer grades. I thought that was interesting. But, you know, something that's happening, we're talking about this in our BIP group. In fact, we talked about it last month, we're going to talk about it tomorrow. But that was interesting. So when I saw that, my first question was, okay, well, it's just because, you know, what could it be? Maybe girls are taking easier classes. I don't know. So the next slide. That's not true. Okay, so I looked at rigorous classes, and I defined rigor by our foreign language classes, our upper math classes, and science classes. And what I did is I pulled the copy for the enrollment for each of those classes, and you can see girls really outnumber boys in the rigorous classes. So not only taking more rigorous classes, they're also doing a lot better in those classes. So I think that's something we need to consider and think about how we can address that. Average GPA for each of the classes, I wanted to give you a snapshot of kind of classes as a whole, where their GPAs are. You know, something's going on for the class of 2016 there. But pretty much, you know, an average of 3.1, I think that's pretty good for an average GPA. And that's kind of the highlight of this. I did include specific grade distributions for each of the classes that we offer. So you might want to look at that. In the last page, I actually broke down student enrollment for each class that we offer. So you can actually see how many students are in each of our classes. I think we have a low of 4 in calculus, and there's 5 in horticulture. So we have some pretty small classes. We have some pretty large classes too. I think freshman PE is our largest, but maybe algebra too. But that's just some good information that I thought that I would give the board. I don't know if you've ever looked at details like this before, but I think it's useful to consider. So. And that's what I have with that. The next part of my presentation, Dr. Tom Alsbury, he's here from Seattle Pacific University, and is a professor at SPU. He's been a professor at several universities around the country, and he actually participated in writing a book that deals with stuff right here in ASL. So I'm going to let him introduce himself and tell you about what he's doing.
Thank you, John.
The floor is yours.
And for those of you that I know, hi. How are you doing? I'm a little balder and a little fatter than the last time you saw me. I told Steve I think he was sitting right there 15 years ago, which was my last board meeting until now, so thank you for having me. And thank you, John. John was a student here at Nasal High School when I was principal here from 1992 to 1999, for those of you that can remember back then. And of course, since then I've become a professor, as John said. My specialty, my line of research became actually school boards. And I've had the opportunity to actually develop school programs now in 15 countries, and I've spoken in 20 states now. I've been very fortunate that way, and direct the National Center on the Superintendency and School Board Governance now for universities across the country. So I've been have been blessed, and I count my time here at NACEL as part of that, preparing me with the experiences that I needed to be able to go forward and do the work that I've done. Well, I'll stop there with my resume, but what I wanted to do tonight was to just present a book, as John said. In my work around the world, I get an opportunity to do two things. One is I get to work with school boards that are quite dysfunctional. And in fact, I just finished a study in Jefferson County, Kentucky, a school district that includes Louisville, Kentucky, with 101,000 students. And analyzing that school board, I got to watch 100 hours of their school board meetings. So that's not a lot of fun, by the way. So this is a so you're only here for a few minutes, so you can be thankful for that. I do want to commend the board and the superintendent for an excellent meeting tonight. Believe me, the stuff that you're doing, through my eyes, is right on. I mean, it's signs of an exemplary board and government, so congratulations on that. It's no surprise with the success that the district has had. The other thing that I get to do is go around and look at schools that have been successful, school districts around the country. And in my work, I happen to be able to work in Finland. And I found myself in a town called Jyväskylä, where the University of Jyväskylä is actually Kaisasaari's, if you know Kaisa, her hometown. That's where she grew up and attended school there. And so I had an opportunity to be in that town and work. That's the university that trains most Finnish teachers. Now, if you know, Finland is a very high achiever in the international scene today, and many people are trying to emulate Finland. At that university, they conduct most of the research on what makes Finland successful. And while I was there, I met two of the major researchers that do that, and they are Aija Kimonen and Raimo Nevalainen. In my conversations with them, I learned that they were conducting a study at that time of small rural Finnish school districts to determine what makes them so successful. And then they wanted to compare that against successful schools in China, India, Britain, and Japan, and the United States. And so they had invited me to select a school district in the United States to highlight in this comparative analysis. And so, of course, I picked NACEL. And not just because I was here at NACEL, but because NACEL is unique in that it not only has had great success, but it has sustained that success over a long period of time. Of course, bumps in the road along the way, but the sustained success you've had is truly unique. I don't know if you realize that. And so what I did was I wrote a chapter that did a comparison between successful Finnish rural schools and the NACEL school district to determine if there are any similarities or differences. I'm going to stop there. I just wanted to let you know what it was. I'll give you the title. It's called Teacher Perspectives on Reform in a Small Rural American School of Historically Finnish Culture. That's how the titles are in academic books. Sorry, it's long. But there it is. There's the book. NACEL is in there. It's the 6th chapter in the book. I wanted to thank the teachers from NACEL, Karen Werkala, John Tinhara, for their cooperation to allow me to conduct this study in the school. And I also wanted to let you know that I have the pleasure to, as I travel around, to share the results of this study with people that I bumped into and places that I've been. And so I can tell you, so far this year, I've been able to present this to the Minister of Education in Taiwan, also in India, in New Delhi, at ITT New Delhi University, in Korea, and this will continue to be shared. That is this NACEL school and what makes it so special around the world, truly. The title of the book is Transforming Teachers' Work Globally in Search of a Better Way for Schools and Their Communities. And I want to present the book to, Karen and John and Lisa, come up, and I want to shake your hand. Give you the book. Oh, hopefully you can set a chair on it or something.
a science class a few times this year, and I've been very amazed at what the kids are doing with their technology and their iPads and their physics classes, their different studies of motion and force, and sent out a little note and asked if anyone might want to show something at the board meeting. Well, to volunteer here, so take it away.
All right. Can I go into
Plug in. I just have one arm, but you probably can do it on
Walmart?
the cord. So on hold. That's an email I sent.
I hope so. One of the, just real quickly, some of the ways that I use technology in my science classroom. Generally, I use this piece of presentation software that I'm demonstrating this with. It's called Evernote. And what it does is it allows me to write stuff and then publish it on the web and send it to the kids. I just got it and it's working really well. And the kids haven't taught how to use it yet. But this is note-taking and presentation software that I really like. Kind of recommend it. Of course, Google Docs has been around forever. It's now changed the name to Drive. If you're not familiar with that, I think a lot of the teachers from kindergarten up to 12th grade are using that. All your kids' grades are on Skyward. The kids can access that with their iPads at any time. They can see the assignments they're missing, the assignments that they've got A's, and the tests they got B's on. And of course, on the iPad, I have my biology book, and which is really fun to have it on a book or on an iPad. There's so many features to an electronic book that you just don't get in a regular old book. That's the direction things are going to go. I have my chemistry book on it also. Okay. Some specific examples. Recently, I've been using this software called Education, and what I do, it's a whiteboard. Whiteboards are really popular. People will, you have kids write their answer on it, hold it up, and you say, yeah, you got that right. Well, this is a whiteboard on steroids, but they can write their answer on it, right? Then they can actually record a discussion of what they learned, and then they just email it to me, or actually just save it, and then I get to see it. And here's an example of, we're studying DNA and biology right now. The kids made a model of DNA, right? And I've got 24 kids in there to get around and say, did you understand what that part of it is, or what this is? Here, they take a picture of their model, and then they take just 30 seconds to explain what that model is. You can't hear this, but she's talking about the adenine and the thymine, and her little model of DNA. And it works out really well because I can see very clearly that she understands this really well, or she doesn't. She didn't get that part of it. It's just I just tell them, just talk to me. It doesn't have to be a scripted thing. I really like that, and it's a relatively new piece of software. And your DNA, read right into genetics. Here's AB, O blood type stuff. And okay. One more. You see, this is one of my students back there. Kepler's 3 laws. Okay. Just tell me what you learned about Kepler's 3 laws. They can draw on this. They can type on it, and it's really a very nice piece of software. Right? And any of this stuff that we're doing is meant to improve education. There's a lot of technology out there that can almost get in the way of what you're doing, but I'm trying to show you the stuff that I think helps to improve what we're doing. So those would be some examples. The other thing that, you know, back when Dr. Allsberg was here, we were using big standalone, great big computers to attach force probes and temperature probes. Right now, the iPads attach right to them, and and I'm doing some of the same things I was doing back then. One of my favorite activities is what I call graph matching. You draw a graph on the screen, and then you have the kids try to walk with the motion detector and get to the right spot on the graph. That's really, I call it IPS dancing. But I can demonstrate it real quickly. Not that I didn't hook up a motion detector, but I have the thermometer attached. I have motion detectors, which looks like this. A force probe that measures force, right? So if I want to lift things or push things. I have a pH scale that we used, a pH measuring device I used in the IPS this year. But you can see, I made sure it worked before I got here. Now in front of you, I'm going to push the play button, and we'll see if it'll take my temperature. Right. No, you can just hold on. Right? There we go.
Now dance.
Let's see. I'm quite a bit more nervous. So, but it's that quick. Before, I couldn't go outside and take the temperature of the pub out here. I couldn't, you know, you were attached to the big computer, you know. And, so these are really functional, and they work really well every time. Well, I shouldn't say every time, but they work a lot of the time, right? And another one of the pieces of software that I use a lot is like, you know, we try to get the kids to use them. And this is all, it's new stuff. And some of it works really well, some of it not so well. But I got some software that you can analyze video with. And some of you may have remembered your physics class. You used to attach a weight to this long string of paper, and then you tick, 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 and then the ticks get further apart. A lot of blank stares. You don't have to do that anymore. You take your iPad, you take a picture of the kid running across the screen, then you put tick marks where they were, and it really works well. You have them save those pictures. They analyze the motion. Oh, that's yours. This is mine. But this is one of my students that are sitting right back there. One of my favorite activities in physics is to try to shoot the monkey up in the tree. Where do you aim? Do you aim below the monkey, above the monkey, right? And you make a little bow and arrow or something, right? So they have a picture here, their bow and arrow, right? They have they took a video of it, they analyzed the video, put in dots where the projectile was at a certain time. The software graphs it for us, and then we can analyze the graph. This group got the acceleration of gravity as 8.8 meters per second. It's supposed to be 9.8, but that was really good for what we're doing. But that's just some of the stuff that we do with iPads in the science department. It's a really great tool. Thank you, board members, for letting me be here and for providing all the great technology we have in the school. It is helping things, I think, going the right direction.
I just wanted to add, you know, using educational technology in class is a lot of work, and it takes teachers willing to take risks and commit to learning how to do this. And I just want to thank Scott. He does a really nice job in learning this technology, implementing it in his classrooms, and it's really paid off. He does an excellent job of doing that, so I just wanted to point that out.
Thanks, Scott. Okay, thank you. Karen Whittle, you're up.
Okay, so, Mr. Smith, I'd just like to, thank you for that. And also, with middle school science, it's hard to walk out of your room once you walk in because you present science in such an engaging way. And it's amazing what you get to young children. So, also, don't forget this, it's called Class Dojo. And it's a program that Mr. Smith has used, and it's a behavior program which the information can be accessed by parents, and it speaks to the child's behavior. So, for example, this child had 100% positive behavior for that week, and it will show what percentage of the behavior was off task, what was on task, disruptive behaviors, and so on and so forth, and engaged behaviors. So this has been a very useful tool for him as well, too, and help students to see where they are, and parents can also check them out. So thank you for that. Just want to let you know what's going on here. I'll be going to another TPEP training tomorrow, and the one thing is, as I told you, is that while there's a lot of time essential to observing teachers, it's all great stuff. I mean, spending a lot more time in the classrooms, but seeing a lot of teaching, very engaged students and teachers teaching with intention. And for example, today going in the kindergarten classroom, when I observed among some of the things, they were able to, the kindergarten children recited the ABCs forward. They said, ABCs, so on and so forth. They got to the end and Mrs. Ford said, okay, now your favorite part. I know the kids all started clapping, and all of a sudden they're going, backwards. And so they not only did the alphabet forwards, but backwards. So that clearly demonstrates they know their letters. I mean, they would articulate them forwards as well as backwards. So it's not just that they've been doing it from memory, but clearly they could recite those backwards as well. I went into Crystal Lance's room. They were comparing and contrasting, and she had on the overhead columns of similarities, differences. And what was interesting, the two stories they were comparing were anyways, two of the over 1,000 variations of Cinderella. So I had no idea that there were that many variations. So there are some from other countries, and so she's presenting these and she's reading them to the students, and they're totally captivated by the stories, first of all, and then they go through and they analyze and compare and contrast the stories. So great job going on there. Then I went into Ms. Nisbet's classroom, and they were working on writing, which is the goal for the elementary as well as the middle school. And in her classroom, they were looking at reading and using transitional words. So she had several lists of transitional words. So the students actually took a story which was written by a first grader. Back in the first grade, they create these books at the first, second, third, fourth grade levels. And they're having them published, and they have done this for several years. So she took one of her students' stories, that was the Little Red Hen, and put it up on the overhead, and it says, the little red hen, likes to, I like little red hens. The little red hen, and each sentence started with a little red hen. So of course when the students saw that, they all started laughing, and then she put the transition words up, and hey, can we rewrite this? They were all over it, putting in transition words and completely changing around the story and making it much more detailed and descriptive. And that's what it's all about. So it was really, it's fun to go into the classrooms and see that going on. The kindergarten Mandarin program was writing, they wrote their numbers to 30. So I was just walking around, these kids were writing the numbers in Mandarin. They weren't in English. So those are just some of the things I get to see, and I would invite you to come out on, and be happy to take you through any day of the week and see those great things that are going on in our classrooms. So tomorrow again, TPEP training, and the teachers will be meeting and also discussing TPEP as well as Common Core, where they're writing and kind of looking at their goals for right now. I just want to let you know the science fair will be April 1st, and it will be for grades K through 7, and then 9th graders as well. Because the 8th graders and 10th graders will be testing in science, so we're letting them have that break, and then the rest of them will be presenting projects. So that will be on April 1st. And then we have Eric Odie, he's the poet author, who will be coming here on April 4th. And we actually hired him utilizing title funds. He came here last year, 2 years ago, I would say, and had a great presentation and has his own books. They're humorous. And so he will be coming here and also doing a family night from 5:30 to 6:30 if you're interested in coming to see him. And then we have spring break on April 7th and 11th. And then just on another note, Crystal and I went to a 2-day training on the ICAP. And remember, this is the year for implementation of a highly capable program. And it's the training that we went to, 12 hours worth, was very, very informational. And we actually received templates that it's really achievable for us. What our program most likely is going to be is integration within a classroom. And then we can provide still the Running Start and AP classes, online classes, those other activities to enhance. But for small schools such as ours, the best way to serve these students would be to identify them and then to have the classroom teachers provide them additional challenges within a classroom, maybe grouping kids, whatever that might look like. But that more than likely will be the model that would be most appropriate for us, as also indicated by the experts out there. So, any questions about it?
Sounds busy.
I'll take you.
Great.
Thank you.
You can.
Population is holding steady. Actually, right now it's 85. It's gone up a couple since I've heard of this. We have one graduate for the school year so far. We're in the middle of state testing right now. The Camp kids do the same state testing as the public school. Today was the first day of the writing test, so tomorrow's the second part. I had a state meeting with camp officials last week. As a school, we've become very concerned about the student behaviors, and I guess what we feel is a lack of security at the school. We haven't had security there in the past, so that's not a change, but we're dealing with a different type of student than we were 5 years ago, 10 years ago. With the closing of the Maple Lane facility, we have much more students of high need. And, a lot of times there's just one secretary up in the front at the booth, and the teachers are off in their rooms with 5 to 12 kids at a time, and so it can feel very isolated. The other institutions, Green Hill and Echo Glen, do have a security team in their school, so we're working through some conflict resolution at this moment. So I will keep you posted on that. We made a commitment to try to do a better job of providing coverage, but it falls short of what we've asked for. So kind of a negotiation in process we're working through. We do have some time to adjust and kind of looking at our own measures of what we're asking for. So that's all I can really report at this time. The dialogue is happening. That's with the JRA staff, ESHS, not necessarily school staff, but they're school employees. So at some time it could very well end up right back at us because they are employees and we want them safe out there. So that's what's going on at the camp. Well, I should say they replaced our phone systems and fax machines. I know some of you have called and tried to do faxes back and forth. We think we've worked through those issues. I'll just leave it at that. Can't get a hold of us, try to email. Probably be faster. Just a little snapshot on enrollment. Try to go month by month just to give a trend. You can see we peaked in November, dropped a little bit in the winter months, and now holding, like John said earlier, a lot of these fluctuations are CBA students, some of them are wrapping up their terms. So not really much impact or change, I should say, at the K-12. Pretty much holding steady. We talked about it a little bit earlier. College Bowl has their state on Saturday, so we're obviously very excited about that. A couple other things going on. Policy 6030 requires that districts report out on public records requests. You might have remembered there was something about this in the legislature. It was a year and a half ago because districts were getting more and more of these. And just as an example, we've had 5 or 6 in the last couple months. And so this is the quarterly report. We got a records request from the Chinook Observer for any lawsuits or torts against the district from January 1, 2012 to present. A lot of these, I don't even know the reasons why they exist. We've got quite a variety. Some of them are obvious. Copy of the superintendent's contract. We have 2 requests for that. We have a copy of a request for Steve Dackey's thoughts on immersion, which was passed out at a board workshop. We had another request from Bronwyn Clark Freedom Foundation. Wanted a copy of the teacher's contract. I see some nods out there. Some of you might have had some of these before or heard about them. The list goes on. Disabilities Rights Washington. This one is the one I referred to a while back when I said that there was a new policy coming out. So I got a records request wanting to know how we address the Citizens with Disabilities Month. And I didn't really know what to do about that because I didn't know there was such a thing. In all honesty, I called the people who sent the request and I said, okay, you know, we talk about these things through our history in our CWP class, but there is no formal recognition. Can you give me the name of a school who has responded, and I will contact them and, you know, get on board, basically. Well, no, we can't. You know, they had heard back from no one. I said, you know, our direction usually comes from OSBI or WASDA, which is the Washington State School Directors Association. There had been nothing from them. So I said, well, I'm sorry, we aren't complying with this as you requested it. And he said, okay, no problem, what's your name? So I was waiting for the big hammer, but the ESD 112 and 113 subsequently became involved with this because they are our risk management providers. So it's like a lawsuit, you know, I want them involved. And the records request was then subsequently withdrawn. Well, I really think it was because hardly anyone knew this law existed. And so it does, and there, you will see a policy for adoption next month about that. Now, it doesn't require some kind of thing every day, but it does require some kind of recognition in October. It could be an assembly, it could be guest speakers. That will be, you know, easy enough to address. But like I said, pretty much a new learning every day in this position. That one is pretty significant. Also, Justin Lane just wanted me to report out, and you will be getting a letter to the parents of the older students. Coming up is Suicide Prevention Week, and our students are doing a project in conjunction with Willapa Behavioral Health, and there are 3 other harbor schools and Milwaukee also doing this. And during that week, there are some presentations, there's a guest speaker, talk about resources available to kids. There will be some conversations going on in classrooms. And we realize that it's a sensitive topic and a lot of people have been impacted by that. Students will have an opportunity to opt out, and there will be a letter coming home probably in a day or so to just, you know, let people know that that's coming on and provide with some alternatives if parents would like to choose that route. It is, let's say, county-wide, because a lot of these are Grace Harbor schools, but Pacific County and Grace Harbor are participating in this. So I just wanted to give everyone a heads up about that. I have a little more on the next one. No, I don't. Okay. Questions?
Well, any questions to the superintendent? Principal Lieutenant?
Like, there was something I wanted to add, but maybe next one.
Okay. Board member reports, future agenda items, anything to the board?
We got that goal list. Are we planning some kind of workshop that was
feedback. We can have a workshop. Those are really superintendent's goals based on the themes. So, you know, we still need to decide on the wording, I think, for the board goals. And, you know, it's sort of the cart before the horse. I need to think more in the specific action steps. The theme approach is good, but you really have to have a specific goal so you can measure your performance based on that. So I'm open to any ideas or picking a date or whatever you guys want to do. Works for me.
Open for suggestions.
I'd be available for an email.
Okay.
I think that works initially, if it gets to the point we need a work on it.
The issue of which document we're going to end up using for the evaluation, I think it'd be important maybe we share that somehow, if it's by email or whatever, so we can each have a sense for what they contain, whether that requires a workshop or not.
Right.
But
Get it from the WASDA side there, I think it was 4 or 5, if I remember. They're on there, maybe people take a look at those. Send me what you'd like, and I get a consensus.
Anything else?
I've got one thing. I did do a visitation at the youth camp. Went up to see Rudy Rudolph's aquaculture class. And interestingly, a couple of those kids also came to the hatchery when I was volunteering there, transferring the adult fish for spawning. And, you know, those kids have had a tough life, but they take a great deal of pride in raising those fish. And it was pretty cool just spending the class, well, I spent the whole class period with them. And one of them kept calling me Mr. Gack, and I told him my name was Steve, but very polite, and they were very involved, and you know, they have lots of responsibilities. And it was, you know, it was a neat visitation, and appreciate Rudy allowing me to come up.
Thank you for coming. The kids really love that. And they purposely get wet and they get fishy stings, so when they get back, they have to go back to the lodge and shower, clean up, and miss the next class. I think it's intentional, but they have a great time. I've got a lot of pictures on my computer from just over the years of spawning fish, and they get to, you know, it's an outing for them. They put on their waders and they have their little instruments. It's pretty neat. That should be coming out.
Okay, so this weekend, oh, by the way, I was elected to be the WASDA representative to the WIAA at the WASDA caucus. So I attended the meeting Saturday, kind of going in, not exactly knowing exactly what my job is and what I should be doing. And what I did find out is that I'm not really this school's WIA rep, okay? Although I can be, and it would seem like that would work okay, since I am area District 6 representative. But what I found out is that there's absolutely no way to communicate with other reps, board reps from other schools. They have nothing set up. And so this was one of the topics. And so they're going to be trying to, through WASDA, trying to set that up so that I can communicate by email with the other board members from other districts that are the WI reps from their board. So that was interesting to me because, you know, in the past several months, I'm kind of thinking, I don't know, there should be something I should be doing, right? Because then there was no information. Tried to talk to a few people, and they're like, well, just show up to the meetings and you'll kind of get it in time, right? So
I thought.
yeah.
And it doesn't work. Yes, on me.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think that's fair, but anyway, you're dissing yourself. So I attend monthly meetings at Spiffy's, and that's District 4, and I'm the WASDA representative. I can speak, but I don't have a vote there, but I can speak and they'll take input from me. So it was just interesting to listen to the different amendments that were that were on the table in the meeting, several. One that was of interest to me, just because we're entering into 1B, and there's a very small number of 1B schools that actually play football. And they're all 8-man, and there's only like 20 schools total that play in the state that play 8-man football. So what they're looking at doing is capping the number at 100 enrollment, even into the 2B schools can opt into 8-man football. So right away, I'm kind of like, well, wait a minute, you can opt down, can you opt up? And the answer is absolutely not. And I'm like, now how is that fair? I said, because geographically, some of these schools are really challenged to find games in the 8-man, and maybe you have a team of a given year that could compete, and you might want to. And Mike Colbreeze, who is the executive director, just plainly said, no, it's not an option. I said, well, that's not good enough for me, and I said, I'm not going to quit until I figure out why. He said, well, you can talk to the executive board. I said, that's fine. When can I do that? So there's actually a meeting coming up in 2 weeks, and I'm going to try to wedge my way in there and at least give my 2 cents. And I don't really think it's fair that they can allow, the little bit bigger schools to opt down into the 8-man, and really it's just a convenience for the WIA's sake. And so my question was, so when am I going to hear something that actually benefits kids here? I've heard things that benefit the officials, things that benefit coaches, but I haven't heard anything that really benefits kids. And I said, that's not why we're all right here in this meeting. There's about 15 people there, and I got a little bit of silence out of the crowd, but then we just sort of went off. So, it's a bit frustrating, and the WIA is a little frustrating at times. But I am willing, as you know, I will speak my mind, and I don't have a problem with that. Once I get my feet on the ground and understand what's going on. So, I guess my question to the board is, do you want me to be our school's rep? Any one of us can be. But then I'm also going to be contacting other schools and asking if they do have a rep. Sometimes I think it might get overlooked. But I believe in when we sign, is it a contract with the WIA, there's actually something there saying that we need to appoint a rep. So.
And Gilbert was that person, and so technically we don't have.
Well, and what's Gilbert, because he was the rep to WIA. And so was he also the board rep?
I believe he was, yeah.
And so that was my little tidbit.
Well, why can't we just have that as an action item at our next board meeting?
Yep. And that would be, and that was kind of my thinking too, to put that on the agenda. So anyway, it was an interesting meeting, and the WIA is what it is, and it's a bit frustrating at times because the state seems to be very slow in adopting the federation's rules, and I have a hard time understanding that because our neighboring state, Oregon, seems to adopt a lot of the National Federation rules as they come, and we're a little bit slow, and we don't want to do that, and so it's a bit frustrating at times. But they always use the fact that the reason they're only having an 8-man state tournament at Spokane now is because attendance is down, and it's about funding and how much money they take in. But they don't consider the fact that I believe the Valley girls had to go to Yakima to play a regional game. If they'd have won that, they'd have to drive home and then go to Spokane about 4 days later. I don't know if it's lucky or not, but they lost, so they didn't have to do that. But, it's at the school's expense that I understand. That's all this extra travel. So the WIA pays, and I don't want to get into this too much, but Mike Colbreeze, a very generous amount. And it seems to me at times that seems to be the biggest worry there is, their money and how much they're getting. It doesn't seem to be, to me, in my looking at this, to be as kid-oriented as maybe as what it could be. So that's going to be my push in this is to let's take the kids into account here a little bit. So anyway, that's my report on that. Anything else from the board? Okay, so I would entertain a motion to adjourn, please.
I move to adjourn.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.